1 year and 1 week ago, myself and my lovely assistant Brock Sager recorded
assistant shit.
the very first episode.
Fuck you, man. None of this assistant
It would have
shit.
been with me too, but Ryan didn't want me on the podcast.
We
He doesn't
recorded-
like patience. Yeah, he don't like it.
We recorded the very first episode of the Comic Conspiracy podcast. Unfortunately, that episode recorded really terribly, and we had to delete the whole episode because it really sucked. 1 week, a few weeks later, I think I was out for something because something happened. I think I was like sick after San Diego, or sick after WonderCon or something.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks ago, we had a really bad recording again that we could not use. So, other than that, for the last 52 weeks, we've recorded 50 episodes of the Comic Conspiracy podcast.
Why does it got to be 52?
Because the 1 year. 1 year ago this week.
That is
Oh,
hard.
it just hit you.
1 year ago this week, we recorded our very first episode of published our very first episode of the Comic Conspiracy podcast. Myself, Ryan Higgins.
And Brock Sager.
We were later joined by, on a little more frequent, on a little bit of a irregular basis, and now pretty regular down the far end.
Oh, Toby.
And then a little more occasionally, but now almost pretty regular.
Charlie West.
And then our most recent addition to the podcast.
Omar Broderick.
There you go.
He's
So 1 year, 50
current Playboy,
episodes.
by the way.
1 year, 50 episodes of the Comic Conspiracy
You're back.
podcast.
It's mine.
Hopefully you're still listening because we're still recording. How are you
Which is
guys?
a miracle.
Yes.
That in itself is a miracle. that
How
we're
are you
still
guys?
Recording.
Good, man.
Everyone good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Well, we're going to talk some stuff. There was actually been a pretty slow news week, so I figure this will give us a good time to just talk about the podcast, talk about comic stuff in general. I hit up Twitter here before we started recording for some questions. We got a bunch of questions here that people asked, and I think this is just a fun thing to just kind of go through and answer some of these things, and we'll all have different opinions. I know some picks with some stuff we want to talk about, some movie stuff, so we'll get to that towards the end here. Charlie's got to talk about X-Sanction number 4. Toby, I know, wants to talk about some Legend of Korra.
Hell yeah.
I think Brock wants to throw down some Hungry Games comments, but
What?
yeah, let's answer some of these. All
Bring
right.
it on.
Let's do
First question comes from Alan Mac 9. These are all from Twitter.
Alan Mac 9.
Yeah. What's your favorite scene from a comic? The one that really stuck with you? And congrats on the anniversary. Well, thank you, Alan. And you're also the very first question, so we're gonna answer this here. What's your very favorite scene from a comic? Let's go down. Let's go down there in the end, Omar. What's your favorite scene from a comic? I mean, it doesn't have to be your absolute favorite scene, but what's like a scene that really sticks out in your memory from comics? Recent, old, new.
Hum.
Sorry to put you on the spot so early.
No, not at all. Don't worry about it. I mean, the only reason why I think of this is because I'm kind of a pervert. Is Walter Flanagan and Kevin Smith's Batman? Is it Gyre? It's when
Winding
does-
Guy. Yeah.
Winding Gyre. I think it's when it does the poison ivy crotch shot. That was just for me. That never leaves my mind for whatever reason. The book was like meh, but like it stays with me to this day.
Well, all right. Charlie.
Okay, well, my scene would actually come from Kingdom Come. There's this scene where Captain Marvel, yes, Captain Marvel,
Yes.
is fighting.
Not Shazam.
Yes, not Shazam. Captain Marvel is fighting Superman, and like in the end, they kind of have that whole big crater, and Superman's all in the red, and yeah, Alex Ross art
That's
just
awesome.
rocks my world. So
Nice. Toby.
I gotta say it was Death in the Family when Batman is walking out with Robin in his arms. Didn't think that could happen, but it did, and it really took me. So
Yeah.
yeah, that stands to be one of the kind of more memorable scenes ever for me. Yeah,
Cool.
and I still find it one of the best stories.
Yeah.
out there.
plus, it's awesome that the fans were responsible for it.
Yeah, well, what also came to me was after that Superman showed up, and that was the first time I've seen another character showing up in someone else's book. So it was the first time I've seen, Superman in a Batman book or something like that. So that really was kind of big for me too, that they can coexist in the same world. Which, I grew up with not a whole lot of DC around because they didn't publish those in German at the time, at least. They didn't, and seeing that Superman could coexist in Batman's world was kind of a huge deal. So yeah,
Cool.
Death in the Family.
It's a good pick.
Brock.
I'd actually have to say the reveal of Swamp Thing in Brightest Day.
That's a real reason.
That was pretty, because I had just finished reading all the Alan Moore Swamp Thing
Yeah.
at that point, so it was really fresh in my mind. And that was like I think the first time in a long time I've actually been like like chills and
Yeah.
breath was like, whoa, that's amazing. So that's probably it.
Cool. And there's so many different ones I could pick. But
Panel 1.
yes, I know. Darkhawk issue number 4, panel number 1, my very first comic book that I ever read. First
With the underwear?
panel. It's a great
metal
first
underwear?
Yeah, it's a
Little
great. It's a great first panel to read. People could check my Twitter account if you want to see the first panel of Darkhawk number 4. But actually, one of these, I actually looked up the issue because I can remember the issue number. I'd sort of kind of got out of some of the superhero stuff and some of the Marvel stuff specifically. But when Kurt Busiek and George Perez relaunched Avengers back in '98, I believe, I love that book. That was one of my favorite books for the longest time. And there's an arc where they go up against Ultron. And the end of the issue, I had to look up, it's issue number 22. The final page of the issue is it's Cap, Iron Man, Thor, Firestar, and Black Panther. And Thor is just standing there, and it's just one word balloon. It says, Ultron, we would have words with thee. And it's just because like Ultron's basically destroyed like almost the whole world, and it's just this badass image of Thor, and they're all beat to friggin' hell.
It's because Firestar's in that panel.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Firestar and Justice being part of the Avengers is really badass for a New Warriors fan.
Yeah.
But that book was that Ultron, we would have words with thee. It's just one of the most badass moments in Avengers history, and I love that panel to this day. So
I like Firestar too. She's a ginger.
this is a good question. Yeah,
Hey,
I mean,
everybody loves a little ginger.
there's so
I
many.
love a lot of ginger.
You are a lot of ginger.
I know.
There's so many good comic panels, but that are comic scenes, but that's a great one.
Yeah.
I got a question here from Moores D. Aside from a lack of two major publishers from Comixology, being Marvel and Dark Horse, what do you feel is the biggest disadvantage of digital comics? Anyone got a... Because I know we've all experimented with them in some degree or another.
Sounds like we're in college.
Is anyone going to throw something out here? A disadvantage of digital.
Part of it really depends on how you define disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean... just what you like or what you don't like about the way they've set it up right now. I mean, is it the price point? Is it the lack of available titles? I mean, that's one of my bigger issues. Those two specifically, outside of effective retail stores.
I guess just to sort of highlight the whole price point thing for me, because I've been doing a lot of cleaning up around like the storages in my house, and I came across the various titles that I actually purchased with like the 50 years of Spider-Man and the 44 years of Fantastic Four. And yeah, so I have PDFs legally of a lot of these issues that they now want to charge me $2 a piece for. And
Yeah.
at the time they cost roughly 10 cents a piece or something.
Sure. You're talking like the
Those CD-ROMs,
CD-ROM.
those DVD-ROMs.
the CD-ROMs
that-
and the DVDs that they put
Yeah.
out. And I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess for me, it just really comes down to I don't feel like there's always this sort of in the back of my head when they reprint something old, even in trade, and I look at the price, and it's sort of like when the Dark Phoenix saga came out in hardcover. I'm like, how can something that old, which they didn't have to sort of go and get an artist to do again or go get written and all that, actually cost more than it did when it has gone through multiple other printings? And yeah, I always have this sort of general sense of give me a good bargain on a lot of old crap and I'll buy it.
They seem to be doing that on a somewhat regular basis, but the selection is still pretty limited
Yeah,
for anything older than 6 months ago.
but even then, if you're sort of talking about that, if they literally put out a bargain of like, I'm not talking about 99 cents an issue. I'm talking about 50 issues for $20. Just
Sure,
like
right,
a
right.
package of 1 through 50, $20.
like a
Yeah.
set, like a run. You can read these 50 issues, and it's only $20.
Yeah, I'd be all over something like that, because even at $1 per issue, unless it's something that I'm 100% sure I don't want to buy in trade or wait for a hardcover on, I just have trouble double buying, triple buying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I spent the weekend, as if you follow Twitter or Facebook, reorganizing all my comics. I spent the weekend, the whole week. My girlfriend was out of town, pulling all my books out, resorting everything. So there's a positive to digital comics, is that you're not moving around 50, 60 long boxes of books. However, one of the downsides to digital comics is going through my books. I was surprised at how many books I had that I was purging. I purged about 5 or 6 long boxes that actually go for some decent money. I still have my original run of 30 Days a Night, 1, 2, 3, first prints. That's still about $100, maybe $150 total for the 3 issues. I had all the Devil's Due Forgotten Realm comics, which are not that good, but I had full runs of it, including the variant covers. And those actually go for some cash. I was surprised. I looked on eBay. Full sets were selling pretty regularly. Maybe it's just because a lot of them, maybe they're not going to get reprinted or what, but plus I got my run of Walking Dead. Obviously that's worth quite a bit now. I really think selling back, or the inability to sell back comics, I give credit to people all the time for their books, and it may only be $50, but hey, that's 50 less bucks you're spending on books. Yeah. There is no value past the consumer's purchase of a digital comic book. And I think that's always going to be an issue.
Not to mention, and this is something I get into, is when I buy a trade, I have 5 or 6 friends who are constantly looking through my collection and be like, hey, can I borrow this? I'm like, totally. Take it, bring it back. It's all good. There's ways to sort of share digital comics, but it's not really the way you're supposed to do them.
Well, right. I mean, if you're looking at this 100% legally,
yeah, right.
I mean, if it's illegal, everything's free and you download everything and give it to whatever. So, I mean, that's not the question. The question is legal digital purchases, and there's just not really a. Well, hell, I guess people sell CDs of full runs of shit on eBay all the time anyway, and sometimes they can take it down, sometimes they don't. So, I mean, I guess you still can't profit off of them if you want to, but not legally.
Well, but I guess the way I kind of look at this is I know some people who have literally, like, I have a friend who has a Steam account, and when he's playing other games, he's like, yeah, just log in with my Steam account and play Mass Effect or whatnot. That's always something with the digital content where they're not really saying, yeah, share your Steam account or share your this or that. But that's one of the great things about buying games or buying comics. If you get really into something, you can always hand it to your friend and say, check this out, and then they start buying it. And it's actually pretty good for the industry as a whole, being able to sort of spread your love of something that way, especially in a way that that person doesn't have to immediately go out and spend money on it before they've tried it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, you and I, Ryan, talked earlier about browsing. You can't really browse very well online. You know, when you go to buy something, when you're at a shop or at your friend's house, looking through, it's right there. It's boom, it's in your, it's right. And you can jump from Legion of Superheroes to, OMAC.
Yeah, I've long said that you can't browse Amazon. I mean, you can, but not the way that you browse when you're in like a Best Buy or Barnes & Noble. It's a very different way of going about it. People go to Amazon and they know what they want and they go there for something. You can go to the links of similar items and stuff like that, and recommended items, or to buy multiple items and you get a discount or whatever. But the physical act of browsing and just seeing what's on the shelf, I mean, that sort of doesn't exist in a digital marketplace. I mean, maybe different, because I know like Apple has like their little bookshelf thing, so it's kind of like a digital version of browsing, but not many. I don't think many people really are using that.
One thing that this kind of leads to is something that we all know as, longtime lovers of comics and just being a part of the culture, is the hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have missing books or missing issues and you go to like say 5 different various shops, that's an experience in itself. It will always stay with you. And the excitement that you have when you come across and you see this long sought after issue that you've been trying to find for like, say, 5-6 years, say you forget about it and you look in your checklist and you're like, oh, I needed that. And you come across it. I mean, that experience, you can't get that digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same.
So you can kind of get it. You're waiting for the sale.
No, you're waiting for it to appear digitally and then waiting.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Honestly, I think my favorite thing about the sort of shift in digital, I kind of hope it helps settle what I would call the immediate collector's market, because I remember I've been sort of between here and
the immediate collector or reader.
A little of both. I mean, there's always those big issues, like I remember with the quote-unquote Death of Captain America issue and how that came and went so fast because nobody knew exactly what was going on. People couldn't find it. The price started to skyrocket until And a lot of those prices that seemed to skyrocket were really around, as you said, people looking to read the issue and people looking to immediately go, hey, I'm going to buy this issue up everywhere I can find it, and that way it's going to be worth money. And I don't know. I've always kind of been put off by stuff like that because I always turn around and go, so somebody who's looking to read it, who's already a comic fan, who didn't know this was coming up, can't find the book, and by the time it's readily available, it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Did you guys notice that? I don't know if it's just me, but I guess it's been there, but books haven't really gone above $20 since digital came out, with like Animal Man going for...
But very, very few modern books have ever hit those prices.
Yeah, but it's one of those things, like Charlie's saying, is that the popular titles, the one that everybody's trying to get, since day and date digital, a lot of that stuff hasn't hit over $20.
Yeah, but I think that either way, I think just general in the comic book market is not as big as it used to be anymore.
Well, you could have gone. You could have gone to late '90s, early 2000s, even mid 2000s. Nothing was over $10. So the fact that there's books that have something of a media value is really uncommon for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I kind of feel like having the digital market helps alleviate that frustration when you just want to read the fucking title that came out today and you can't find it.
Well, my problem still with it are you're still buying a license to read rather than you owning the copy. I still prefer the iTunes one where you pay for it, you download it, it's yours. You can move it around on your computer how you want it. Like Charlie says, if I buy a song right now, I think Charlie will like it, I can email it to him. I would prefer if I actually owned something. Whether it's digital or physical, I want to be able to own something. So the problem with me with Comixology right now is, they're letting me read it. I have access to it. I can download it, but I don't physically own it right now. So I have a big problem with that still.
It would be really nice if Comixology or something like that would, I don't want to say sort of a rental system, but it would be really nice if you could send, because they have control over the accounts and everything. It would be nice if they could build a expiration date into a comic, so you could literally say, I think this person would like it, and send it to them to read over the next 2 days or whatnot. Some sort of
there's that.
system.
There's some people that kind of came out saying they kind of would like to have a Netflix system with comic books. I actually disagree with that. That's me personally. It could work for some people. Personally, I don't like that system. I like to own things again.
Sure. Well, I think if it was a case of 99 cents to own it or 49 cents to rent it for a month, like I could see that maybe kind of working.
Yeah.
But you're downloading the comic, and I'm sure there's ways to rent it and still just download it. So there may, that would kind of defeat the purpose. But full 100% legal ways here.
Well, it's one of those things. Like I think what Toby's saying is that we want to have some grasp of our digital content where it's movable from platform to platform. Like if I had, an iPad and all of my comics,
and Comixology is, but you're still just viewing it.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like even with like the Kindle and the Nook with the books, you can't necessarily transfer them over easily from one device to the other, but you own the rights to view this, but you can't view it on what you want to view it on.
Well, see, that doesn't bother me too much. The platform, I can pick one and be happy with it, but it bothers me when I'm paying for a license to view it rather than actually owning it. And the other thing that bothers me, and me and you, Ryan, we talked about it a lot when digital first started, was the price point. The price point is like, something is costing me $2.99 online, why is it costing me $2.99 physical versus, so it's always kind of, I felt the digital always should have been cheaper just because they don't have the man hours going into it, like, physically making a book. They still should pay the artists and all of that stuff.
Well, if you look at iTunes, the albums generally run, like $10, right?
Yeah.
And the physical albums are on like 15, 16. I know the price have come down a little bit on some albums because they used to be, they were like 18, 19 for a few years.
When I was working in...
I think they evened out.
Well, when I was working in a record store, there were points where the average price was like $17.99, $18.99, and it was getting really high.
I remember those times because you could buy a soundtrack to a movie, and it costs it more than the movie itself. The movie would be like $14.99, and you want to buy the soundtrack $17.99. That's ridiculous.
So the price, they dropped the price on the physical media down a little bit, but the digital version is still cheaper, and I think that's a reasonable thing. Their reason for not making the digital versions cheaper is because, they're going to piss off the retailers. And not
Well,
unjustly.
I think that doing the new comics at the price point that they're doing it is fair, but it's the older comics, the stuff that you can't
But
find.
they are
It's-
cheaper. They are cheaper.
Yeah, they're $1.99 usually,
they,
right?
they come out
99 or $1.99.
yeah, and that's fine, but it's one of those things where I think that after a month it drops price. That's fine,
Well-
and they always have sales and stuff like that. So, but I think it goes back to what Charlie said. They need to be a little bit more bulky in what their purchase is.
We got a lot of questions, so this digital will never end.
Never end.
Next question is from Cross X Hunter. This is actually good, Toby. This will be a perfect time for you to talk about something that you want to talk about.
What's up, Cross X?
What do you guys think of Cartoon Network's new DC Nation programming block? I know we've talked Young Justice a handful of times. A little bit Green Lantern. I've been liking it, although I don't like the animation. I think the shorts are super cool that they're doing in between. But I think, Toby, you specifically want to talk about the new Young Justice. I haven't seen it yet, so
I've seen the newest Young Justice.
stay a little light on spoilers.
Well,
but
you already know what I'm
let's
going to talk
talk.
about.
Yeah,
It's,
talk it.
Somewhat based on Jeff Johns' Teen Titans run.
yeah.
Superboy's, inheritance of Lex Luthor's genes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so glad they finally brought that into the Young Justice. I mean, they always hinted at it.
Mm-hmm.
Finally glad they finally brought it in, and I love the dynamics between Superboy and Lex Luthor. I mean, Lex just kind of, look, there's a guy that's ignoring you. He's heartless to you. Yet I'm here. I'm your dad. Sort of. I'm reaching out a hand to you. Who are you going to listen to? I just kind of love that dynamic, and I'm happy they finally brought it in.
The dynamic is good, but the Superboy Superman relationship in that show is very weird.
It is, but I kind of like that take on it. Though. It's different.
There's
yeah.
a weird untrusting nature
Well,
between the two of them, but it goes
actually
both
funny,
ways.
because Lex actually brings it up. He goes,
Okay.
he looks at you as being made from villains.
Yeah.
So that's how Lex put it. He goes, Superman thinks there's something wrong with you because you're made from villains,
Right.
not from heroes. So I kind of like what Lex is putting in Superboy's head, kind of starting to make him think about things and maybe veer him off the wrong path. I kind of like the little devil's hand there going on. So
Well, John's Teen Titans run, I mean, is one of my absolute favorites.
It is.
And the whole Superboy, Lex Luthor, Superman, I mean, that is such a great idea, and I'm so happy that they're bringing that into the cartoons. Because something honestly, one of the things I miss the most about the New 52 books is I like the Superboy title, but I really like that dynamic.
Yeah.
hopefully they can bring it in later.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to bring up for DC Nation is, oh my God, thank you, Lauren Faust. He's freaking awesome. Yeah.
Is it the second Super Best Friend
I don't
short?
think it is. I mean,
There's only the first one so far.
Yeah, I think so, because people know I don't have live TV right now, so I have to watch it some other ways, and, I have to wait till my friends have it, stuff like that. But, yeah, that first one is so super cool that, I'm totally waiting for the next one that Lauren Faust is putting out.
Was it a short?
It's a short,
Little in-between
it's a really short actually.
Okay.
It's about Supergirl getting the keys to Wonder Woman's invisible plane.
nice.
Wonder Girl.
Oh, Wonder Girl?
Well-
Oh,
Wonder
no,
Girl.
it's Wonder Woman's
Well, they
keys though.
brought the
Well, Wonder Girl gets the keys, and Supergirl and Batgirl are going with her to go do something.
well, they bring Wonder Girl the keys.
Yeah.
They're physically holding on to the keys most of the
okay,
they got-
okay. Well,
the key.
Wonder Girl's got to drive the jet.
That's based on John's
Kid Flash,
Kid Flash thing with
Robin.
yeah.
Tim Drake. It seems that way.
Yeah.
At least based on what you guys are talking. I didn't see it. I'm a big fan of
I think it's a little
Really
different. Yeah.
lighthearted comedy.
It's very, very lighthearted.
Yeah.
They play Wonder Girl up as a very kind of serious and we got to do the right thing and stoic, and Supergirl's like this total we're gonna go egg Lex Luthor's house.
Yeah, we got TP at Lex Luthor's
This is
house.
the Johns.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
No, I see the correlation.
Yeah,
I
it's
agree
it's
with you
just
on
the
that.
girls.
Yeah.
And then Batgirl's bouncing
wants
around.
burritos.
Yeah.
Yeah, Batgirl's bouncing
She wants
around.
burritos from Mexico or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, it was excellent. I mean, I love Lawrence.
Burritos.
I love Lawrence
Burrito.
work. I'm a big fan of Foster's Home with Imaginary Friends. I think that's one of the best shows out there. She was one of the head writers on there. I hear My Little Pony is really awesome.
Yeah,
So,
that's
one
what I've heard.
day I will check that out.
what I've heard.
And then, all of Greg McCracken's work is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Did you see the Plastic Man shorts?
no,
That was-
I didn't. Like I said,
I did.
I don't have live TV.
Oh my
so.
god, those are fucking
That was
awesome.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear all the shorts are more comedic right now,
Yeah.
which it works really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not really feeling the claymation for whatever reason. But
Yeah,
that's just
those
me
are
not
okay.
really feeling
Well-
the claymation. I don't know.
Even then, with the claymation, most of the other shorts, to some degree, are celebrating the characters, where
Sure.
the claymation
Well, that's actually
doesn't really.
that's actually it's a sort of parody of another thing that they do. Where they have these kids talking and they do like these claymation kind of. It's like a DC'd version of that. So this is like a pre-existing thing. Okay. So
but you gotta give DC a hats off to like doing all these different versions.
Yeah,
contacting all these different animators, artists to go, hey, we're going to do all these shorts, have your take at it, just go for it.
Now, I've heard a couple, I know some people working on some of the other ones coming up, and they're doing like 4 or 5 part shorts, and it seems like things that could go into kind of like pilots for shows. There's no doubt on my mind, Super Best Friends will either get a full episode, a series, at least a comic.
Or at least continue the shorts. I mean, the shorts are great if you just make it more regularly. Yeah.
Wasn't I in the shop that one day when the guy came in and one of your...
Yes.
And it was about that one story. And
but yes.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know what's public knowledge and what's not. So, but yes.
Well, I saw an image for Animal Man. So.
Oh well, Animal Man. Yeah, Animal Man was in this last week's DC Comics. There's a picture of an animated Animal Man.
That's right. That's where
yes, Animal Man. Yeah. It's my boy.
And I'm hoping they could do more some of the obscure characters we usually won't see and stuff like that.
I think that's the point of it.
Yeah, they kind of tried to do that with DC animated straight to DVD movies, and that didn't really work out there. So I'm hoping these shorts we can keep going with them.
Yeah.
Well, the direct-to-video, they never really tried it so much other than the little backup stories.
Well, no, the original plan was to do like a Teen Titans one. It was to do Green Lantern story. It was to
Flash
do
and all
Arrow
that.
story and stuff like Flash.
A lot of that just had to do with they were looking for classic stories they could convert to a direct-to-video.
Yeah, but they were going to do more. Yeah. It was more widespread because once Wonder Woman didn't do well, that's when they decided we're only going to do Batman and Superman,
which is really, really stupid because Wonder Woman was such a good movie.
I agree.
hate it when good stuff falls flat.
Yeah.
Like John Carter.
One other thing really quick is, to me, it feels like after watching like the last 3 weeks of DC Nation, it feels like somewhat of a revitalization of like the whole Hanna-Barbera Saturday morning cartoon.
I mean, that's what they're going for.
Yeah.
I mean, they bring Saturday morning back.
Cereal.
It also feels like the original Cartoon Network stuff, the
Cartoon
Toonami
cartoon.
and the cartoon stuff. I mean, and there's something that Cartoon Network has totally abandoned over the last couple of years, and it's
that's true.
Dumb because that stuff was so good, and all the little shorts they did, and this is totally a throwback to that. And Marvel is going to have the same thing on XD, so I hope that on the Disney XD stuff, so they're going to do a similar thing. So I hope this works.
Yeah.
Me too.
I don't watch cartoons.
No, I'm a big fan of it.
Brock,
also.
I will. I don't have cable. And I don't need to
I know.
go online and search out that stuff.
All right. Got another.
Well, what if we shove it in your face?
Got another question here from T
That way you
Bacon.
don't have to
Actually,
search.
That didn't sound right.
from T Bacon. Actually, Trip, one of our customers and a longtime listener of the show and a longtime customer. He asks a very hard question, as we're a little Marvel and DC biased on the show sometimes. What is your favorite non-Marvel or DC book? Current book, and why? Ooh. This actually took a little bit of thought for me because I'll be totally honest, my non-Marvel and DC reading is at probably an all-time low right now. If you count Vertigo, that's different, Vertigo and Icon, but I'm going to not count those. I read a lot of the licensed indie books, so, that's kind of defeats the purpose. I think he's looking for some real indie stuff, and I think you guys have better answers than I do. But I just got a stack of stuff that I need to catch up on. Walking Dead, Morning Glories, Thief of Thieves. I have a Peter Panzerfaust. I have all these new Image books I want to read. Glory, I only read the first one. Prophet, I've only read the first one. But the one I've actually really enjoyed as I've been going on, even though it's a licensed book, I think this kind of counts. That's been the Buffy and Angel books from Dark Horse, the Joss Whedon stuff. I really like them, and I was...
Who's writing it now?
Oh God, they've been switching around a little bit.
Okay.
I'm totally blanking on who's actually doing the physical writing of them now.
They had a lot of big names in season 8, though.
Yeah, and
a lot of big names were writing it.
They're continuing them. I'll take a look and see if I can figure out who they are because I'm just blanking right now. But no, it's been a fun continuation from the earlier stuff, and I never read the Angel IDW stuff past the first couple issues. I just didn't stick. I just didn't. No, I didn't. So I'm kind of a little new to the Angel stuff, but I've liked the Angel and Faith book so far.
I want to ask you a question.
Yo.
Do you mean the original when IDW first picked up Angel, or do you mean when they relaunched it under After the Fall?
Any of it. The After the Fall stuff, yeah.
After the Fall stuff was awesome.
Yeah, I've read almost none of the After the Fall. I think I maybe read the first issue or two, but I didn't read any of the other stuff. I just didn't stick with it for whatever reason. So I think I watched more. I've watched very little Angel.
Well, Angel I loved as a TV show, and I'm still heartbroken about the ending of that one. So maybe I should check out the book. But
Your books are
Yes.
fun.
I
you should.
still haven't given I haven't forgave Josh Whedon for ending
Yeah.
Angel like that. It still
Have
bothers
you
me.
not read After the Fall either?
No, haven't either. But that's because I was so heartbroken from it. I remember.
feel happy after you use
I remember watching that
yes, you
Angel
will.
finale and being totally into it, totally like eating up. I'm like, this is my favorite show. I look up at the clock and wait a minute. There's 2 more minutes to go. How are they going to resolve all this? And boom, it ended. I'm like, what the hell?
All right, Brock, what's an indie book you've been really digging right now?
I don't read it single issue, but I read it in trade with Six Gun
Cool.
from Oni
Yeah,
Press.
yeah.
So
pick.
yeah, it's mixes Western with mystical and demonic and all this random crap. It's pretty cool. So
Awesome.
they actually had a free comic book day for #1 a couple of years ago, and it was recommended to me by a customer. So picked it up in trade, and I really like it. Actually, the 3rd trade should be coming out soon.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Cool.
Toby?
Well, I'll give you 2. One's kind of obvious. I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle book a lot. So I've been.
You stole Charlie's non-pick.
Okay, fine. I'll
Yeah.
give it. I'll give it back to Charlie because I have another book.
No, he was going to pick it, but he didn't.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
I basically decided I'm going to stay away from something that I think I
was
appreciate
kinda obvious
too
that I'd
much
pick it.
because of nostalgia. How much I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's very fresh. The take is
Yeah.
very fresh, and I really like it. But the book that I always get really excited about whenever it comes into the store, and I pick it up and I go home. I literally go home and read it right as I go home. Is a manga called Bakuman, and I think I talked about it on this podcast before. I think on my first podcast I talked about it. It's about these 2 manga cause, a writer and an artist combo that are trying to do this comic book. They fail, they succeed, they fail again, stuff like that. And I really, really, truly enjoy that book, and it's very well done. So whenever that book comes in, I get really excited. I literally, I don't do that with any other books here. I go home, I literally sit down and read it almost from front cover to the back, so gotta give it up to Bakuman.
There you go.
Charlie.
So it may be another obvious choice, but I'm going to go with Chew. And the reason I love Chew so much just has to do with I've always been a huge fan of The Tick, which was a very sort of taking the superhero genre on its side and just making this really funny universe. I kind of feel the same way about Chew, but with sort of these traditional detective stories and that kind of stuff, where it's still got that sort of serious undertone of it's still technically a detective book, just like Tick is still technically a superhero book. Mm-hmm. But it's just kind of a blast to read, and it's not afraid to make fun of itself or other things. And yeah, I really like that.
Cool. Omar.
I was kind of torn, but I went with Dark Horse Presents for the same reason, on the opposite spectrum of why Charlie didn't pick TMNT, is because of the nostalgia factor for Dark Horse Presents, because it does make me think about my kind of like late high school days, going into college and picking up an indie book and feeling cool, reading through Predator and all these other, kind of like, is Concrete was a Dark Horse character, right?
Concrete started there. The Mask started there.
Yeah.
Sin City
The
started
Mask,
there.
That's
Buffy
right.
started there.
Yeah.
Buffy had a real early
really
issue there.
early issue.
I don't know if Bacchus started there,
A lot
but
of
it was
Mobius's work
early
was in there.
stuff.
That's right.
They've reprinted a lot of
That's right. Good call.
Mobius.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Horse Presents now, it's like pretty damn close to like 90 pages of
Yep.
comic goodness
Yeah,
on
it's
a
a big,
monthly
fat book.
basis that is
Yeah.
put out regularly. It seems to be never late.
I don't think so.
And it has all these random stories. You get like 6 different stories, kind of montage style. Some of them are one shot, some of them are continued. To be able to get Mike Magnolia's artwork and Gabriel Ba's stories in the same book, that's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would highly recommend that. That's especially if you're not like a regular monthly reader. That's a good way to try to get back into it.
Cool. All right. Some good indie picks for us. Scott A.H. Reed. Scott R. Reed asks, and this is probably maybe a better question for Brock. I think he's the only one that's current. Is there a point where I should stop reading The Walking Dead? I finished the compendium. Didn't know if it got bad. Is anyone else current with it? No? Like anyone? You are?
I'm not current, but
You're current to
through
the last
issue 70.
5, right? You're current to the last omnibus for like the big oversized
I'm current
hardcover.
to the last trade.
Yeah, so I mean, no, don't.
No, if
keep reading.
you've picked up that big fat compendium and you want to keep going, then pick up the soft covers. If you want to wait, they are going to release that second compendium.
Yeah.
But that's only after the next trade comes out, which won't be for probably another 6 months.
Yeah.
So
Well, we're waiting for one more trade, and then the compendium will be right after that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, so-
a couple months for that.
So yes, I mean you might get it by the end of the year for Christmas sales, but I mean it's good stuff just to pick up the trades singly and read those. So
Yeah. Nice.
this shit is intense, man.
I'll stick it.
And not to mention that you need to pick up the Playboy
Oh yeah.
April of this year, which has brutal. Oh Jesus, man! What the hell?
You said Playboy, so let's go grab it.
God, stay away from my balls.
Miss April. Oh my god.
Okay, we were talking about the Walking Dead comic book that came in there.
Hold on. What's her name again? Oh wait.
Michonne.
Michonne.
No, I'm not talking about Michonne. I'm talking about Miss April. Hold on. Let me just we gotta give props, dude. Where props is due.
Oh jeez.
Raquel Pumplin.
Did you say Pumplin or Humplin?
I want to Humplin this Pumplin.
Jeez. Anyway,
Let's move on.
it took me a while to get that damn Playboy. I went to two liquor stores, a 7-Eleven, 3 porn shops, and finally I was able to buy it at Barnes & Noble. So
I still thought you were going to sneak into the airport and get arrested just to get.
I was
Walking
so
Dead.
tempted to, but I was like, I got to try Barnes & Noble first. But yeah, definitely. I read it. It's okay. It's not anything grandiose or
That's cool.
out of place. I mean, it kind of explains the spoiler, but the zombies that she's dragging around.
It's like her origin, right?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
a bit of
it's-
it. Yeah.
So, but it's funny. It's
Cool.
cool.
We actually got a
Got
ton of
naked
questions.
chicks in it.
Nice. We got a ton of questions
Diego.
here.
Oh yes,
What?
Diego page in here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, random.
No,
we got
he's been doing that for a while.
oh, has he?
Yeah.
We got a bunch of questions by from Stefano N. And these are actually some terrific questions. So I kind of want to go through and read all these. And he's a real strong supporter of our digital store. I talk to him on Twitter all the time. So this guy's cool.
Yes.
He asked some really, really good questions.
What's up,
here.
Stefano?
First question is
Don't
how much
use that voice again. Ever.
He'll
Just
never
don't.
write back.
Just ever. Just don't.
Don't scare him off.
First question is how much has the Comixology storefront done to contribute to the shop since starting it? He's curious because he's a digital reader. I've run the numbers, and a lot of the people, especially on the retailer side, are like, the digital books don't sell a lot. I've been told, at least kind of not confirmed, but from a sort of, putting stuff together, that we're one of, if not the biggest store that sells digital comics, and a lot of it's because of this podcast and because of the Geek Box and a strong support from people that are not local to us.
That's his way of saying thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes.
But even at that,
Thanks for the translation.
even at that, and I think this is something that may shock people. It's still only about 2% of our monthly income at the store. It's still a very, very small portion. And I guarantee you that Marvel and DC aren't seeing much more than that on their end. It's just, it is building. It is going to become a thing, but we are a very long way from it becoming even half of the sales for, I think, Marvel and DC and the independent companies. I mean, certain independent companies may be much more successful at this than print, but when it comes to Marvel and DC, they're running 70-80% of the market. Physical comics for us, the last 6 months, especially from the DC relaunch, our sales are through the roof. Still on the DC books, independent books are doing better. Marvel's going to have some huge print numbers. So I think the digital is not taking away any sales. It is only helping the stores that really want to push it. It's a couple, it's a couple $100 here and there. And hey, that's, I'm not going to say no to a couple $100.
Hey, that's a electricity bill.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean,
it's the chance to maybe experiment with a line of toys that you wouldn't necessarily experiment with.
Yeah, it's something. So, And this actually kind of goes in part of the question with his next question is, how does the Comic Conspiracy crew foresee the comic market in the next couple of years post all of these relaunches? And I think the digital comics will be a strong part of whether, we see more people coming in through digital. But, is the shine going to come off the New 52 sometime soon? A lot of the big image boom, will it crash like it has before? Marvel, what's coming after Avengers X-Men? Will anything be different? Fear itself was a pretty low point for Marvel, and if Avengers vs. X-Men doesn't boost them up a lot, it's going to be dark days for Marvel. What are you guys' thoughts?
First thing I want to say is Avengers vs. X-Men. G.I. Joe called and they want their logo back.
That's funny. I didn't think about that.
Burn!
Oh, there you go.
Well, I mean, for me, the way I kind of see comics is very, very sort of straight up. If you get good artists with good writers, the book sells. If you kind of see that with Captain America and Daredevil and a lot of these other stuff, there's a reason why the stuff that's successful is successful and the stuff that's dying is dying, and it's really
the low end on DC is dropping like a rock. The high end is performing phenomenally. Yeah. But what's really good about DC is their mid list is doing really, really well. Marvel, their good stuff is doing good, but their mid and low tier stuff are dropping pretty rapidly. That's a concern.
But to me, that really actually talks about sort of a kind of high point in the industry for me right now, because I've been reading comics for a long, long time, and I've always kind of had this sliding scale of, okay, I'll buy the stuff I'm really into, I'll buy the stuff that's good, and I always have a few sort of okay things that I just kind of hope get better. I'm buying so much good stuff and stuff I'm like totally digging right now that I can't even really find time to consider an okay book.
I think that's the thing. As the good rises to the top and there's so much good stuff, the bad stuff is going to fall even faster than before because there's just not enough time to read all these books.
The DC Comics Presents Deadman. I mean, that arc did very, very well, but Challengers of the Unknown
not a good arc to follow it up with.
Has just bombed.
And what's unfortunate is I think they're doing that Vandal Savage story next, and James Robinson's writing that. Really looking forward to that. But it's going to be a tough battle to climb back because that Challengers arc is just not selling.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it, but it's just not selling.
Yeah, those covers are awesome, those by Ryan Sook.
Yeah. No, what about...
Would it be better if they don't number those books?
But then you're
Presents.
But then you're just stuck with like weird miniseries.
Yeah, it's not really part of the New 52 relaunch. If there were going to be a series of mini-series like that with the other ones, it would be pulled.
But it's more likely for someone to pick it up, though, is what I mean. Like,
no, I think that's true. I mean,
also, like, who's going to pick up a number 4, even though it's a new start?
I think Star Wars Old Republic, they did that. They started just renumbering their books with a different title.
Yeah.
Well, Star Wars was doing it okay for a while, where they would have the actual number and then on the cover, and then they would have the arc number. But the arc number was what came first.
Sure.
So you saw like Star Wars such and such title.
I wouldn't mind
number
an
2
number
of 4
on DC Presents,
and then you had the actual number numbering on the bottom.
I wouldn't mind that.
I noticed weirdly enough that when I was going through customers, I'm organizing a customer's books, the Daredevil covers actually have the original numbering on them in the artwork. When it was Mac.
Really?
Oh,
His
yeah.
name Mac.
David Mack.
When David Mack was doing a lot of the
I was
covers.
gonna say, recently, I was like, what?
And it was the Marvel Knight stuff. It's actually they actually have the original numbering in the cover art. So you'll have like number 402 or 394 or something. So I thought that was an interesting way to kind of keep the same, that numbering going. But yeah, where are they going to be? Yeah, I mean, it all hinges on, how well certain things do, like AVX. It does this pull Marvel out of their, big event slump that they've been in since, Civil War.
Yeah. Well, it's after. Well, it was really... I think Civil War was such a big success.
Yeah.
World War Hulk was not what they wanted it to be, but I think it did...
I still liked it.
It did well enough. World War Hulk did really well, comparatively, once you kind of hit Secret Invasion and then Fear itself were both not what Marvel wanted, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And who is there a new batch of like cross medium writers and creators like we had? You're introduced to like
Fraction and Hickman and Jeff Parker. I mean,
Damon
that's kind of-
Lindelof, Brian Q. Miller.
Like, no, we're not getting those guys.
we're not going to
right
get those
now.
guys. Like a new fresh batch of people that come in
Yeah.
from a different medium, whether it be movie or TV,
Well, you
and then
could.
they start writing again, and they start writing books, and then those people are now that have followed their
Well,
shows.
Scott
and series.
Snyder, he was a novelist, right?
That's right. That's right.
So,
So
Majora
Yeah.
Liu,
they're there, right?
X-23 writer,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
a novelist.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I mean, there's a couple, but I think Scott Snyder's probably the only one that's just rocketed to the top real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yost is always doing cartoon stuff on the side.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, yeah.
Or
Yeah,
I
but-
think that's his main thing.
But it's weird because stuff
Heinberg?
like that. Well, Alan Heinberg.
He's not really writing comics.
Yeah, so fairly. And Chris Yost, his fan base, I don't think they know who he is.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
think he has, because he does the animation. And animation, you don't usually know
I'm a
who's.
big fan of that Yost guy.
Like,
His books are fantastic.
I don't think
his
most-
animations are fantastic.
I just don't think most people.
make the connection.
There's not like a Paul Dini, a name to attach. His stuff.
Yeah, but I think that guy, Paul Dini was in the game for a long time, and
Yeah.
I think Yost, give him 10 years, he's gonna be that name.
I think
Well-
he's got. I think he's got the talent. I think he's a great writer. I like
Yeah.
the stuff he writes. I just don't know that we're in a position that the animation is commanded by one person the way Paul Dini was working on that stuff.
But that's now,
but
though.
Right.
a large part of that, I think, at least for me, because I've watched a ton of Paul Dini's stuff over the years and Bruce Timm's stuff over the years, and there is so much I never made connections with before they had that one thing that they really started to connect with the audience, and it's sort of that weird sort of, wow, they worked on that.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow, I remember
sure.
that.
Just-
and yeah.
yeah, just to throw out some names: J. Michael Straczynski, Masters of the Universe;
Yeah.
Paul Dini, Tiny Toons; Bruce Timm, Tiny Toons. I mean, some of these names popping up all over the place.
That reminds me, I gotta watch my Tiny Toons at home.
But
the first episode. You
But
see
I mean-
Paul Dini on it.
I think with the success of Batman the Animated Series gave them in some ways a weird kind of unique opportunity to connect with the fan base in a way that most animated shows don't get,
Yeah,
or movies and whatnot, because you
I mean, Yost's been doing Marvel cartoons for a while. He's been doing Evolution. He did that Wolverine and the X-Men. He's what is he headlining Ultimate Spider-Man right now?
I mean, I think
I think
he's
he's
working,
working
on
on
it.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
All right, let's move on. It's got a couple questions here. This is a fun one. What is each Comic Conspiracy member's most favorite memorable work day since joining the shop? Likewise, worst day.
Uh-oh.
Omar doesn't really work here. He's more of
Yeah, I
just a
don't.
customer, but you hear it click.
Wow.
Stuff, so.
I'm like a better looking, that bearded dude on what's that one show that's like a non-comic,
man?
but yeah,
You're,
comic book man.
You're what's his face?
I'm that guy.
Not Walt. What's his Flanagan?
Yeah, no, the other guy.
No.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that his
You're
name?
Brian? You don't have a beard, nor are you fat, nor do you have long hair.
Yeah.
Do you got a favorite HeroClix event in the last few months you've been in the last
Yeah,
couple
did
months you've
anybody
been
try
running
and
it?
burn the building down?
No,
or-
no. I mean, I think everything has been really cool because a lot of the players that have been coming are people that I'm like actually friends with. Like
Yeah.
I can actually hang out with outside of like the gaming culture.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be definitely 2 weeks ago was St. Patty's event, and man, we had like the store was like 20 people, and
Yeah.
it kind of like we had to keep the door open and everything, but everyone was just like having a great time. We're all drinking Heinies, and it was good stuff.
Let's go backwards.
So they can drink, but we can't on the podcast.
You could drink.
Oh.
That's not too much. You have to remain
Where's the
somewhat
fun in that?
coherent.
I didn't even know what I was talking about.
Let's go broadcast to worry about that one. Just kidding.
Yeah, man.
Let's go backwards on the work time. Now, Brock, you haven't been working here as long as Toby and Charlie have, but you've probably worked more just because you work here a couple days a week.
A couple days a week, yeah.
So but what's let's start worst. What's the worst day you've had? I mean, other than every day you spend with me.
Exactly. Probably the worst
what
day?
days don't you
I
spend here?
wouldn't say there was like a particularly worst day. Like it's not like Clerks where
That was a
You
pretty
know.
bad day for them.
yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's like it's like little things here and there. Like when we were remodeling the store and we pulled everything out and we found all these problems that we couldn't
Yeah.
fix in the span of time.
The crooked wall. And,
The crooked wall. It's what else?
The rat?
The what?
The rat?
What rat?
Oh, you don't know about that one.
I don't know about that one.
How about when I was trying to hide the cat in here?
Jesus.
Wow.
There was a cat in here?
Toby.
Are you talking
Don't
literally or
listen to-
No,
figuratively?
there was a cat that was in here.
Don't listen to Toby. The rat was trying to find the cat.
I've heard horror stories about like certain customers.
Oh, there's some good ones.
Oh yeah, there's a couple that make me rage.
All right, do you have any
Rage.
stories? Come on.
Well, what's your best day?
Yeah.
What was my best day?
Yeah, is there any day that you've like?
think it's
like,
worse than
that was
any
a
with
great
Ryan.
day.
Not really.
Okay.
You don't have any
'Cause
best
I'm
days? You don't
normally
have any
here-
worst
I'm
days? You don't
normally
have any
here-
feelings about the story at all?
I'm normally here when you're here, so it's pretty much a bad day
So,
anyway.
this is
and when
actually-
I'm working
I'm gonna-
by myself, it's kind of like
I'm gonna pinch hit as a customer. The worst day ever that I had buying books at the store was during a special sale, and I think Ryan, you remember this day.
oh
I did.
yeah, fuck that guy.
I do.
What day?
This dude
I
was
hate
like
that
walking
guy.
in, and he's like,
Somehow
See-
I already know the guy they're talking
Which
about.
guy?
As if,
you guys all know him.
What? No, there's a lot of guys.
hold on.
Ryan, can you tell the story actually? Because from a
There's a lot of
third-person
guys.
Yeah,
story,
this
it'd be
is-
better.
this is what I-
told.
yeah,
Is this
I
for
hate
Justice League?
Hold on. As employees, we love all customers to come into
Absolutely.
the shop. However, Omar is not an employee. So, Omar, as a customer of the shop, I would like to hear this story.
Holy fuck! I was like looking through, all these great books, on a special day.
No, we were having a sale.
Yeah, it was a sale.
I think we had the stuff in store that day.
Yes.
Normally we have a sidewalk sale.
Yeah.
But I think was it winter or was it cold out? There was so
No. There
we
were
had
some
them in the
books out.
store.
No, you had a few. You had a few of the spinners outside, and no, there were no tables outside.
No, we had everything was inside that day.
okay,
I don't remember
okay.
why, but
Okay.
everything was in the store.
All right. So you did have one of those long, like I think a table, maybe like this, like a 6-foot table or so, that was in the front. So it was pretty squeezed because, like, for those of you viewers that have been in the store, actually, so it's kind of narrow if you were to put something behind the door. You had, I think, a bunch of bins to go through on both sides, and I was looking through something, and then there's this guy that walked in, and this guy that I don't know his name, but if I knew his name, I would say it because I'm not an employee. But this guy, he's not healthy. Like, a workout for him is probably going to the donut shop and buying like 24 packs of donuts or whatever. This guy was just a total mother effer. Like, he walked
you
in.
can swear on this podcast.
Well, he fucking walked in,
Thank you.
and this guy's like, he's like complaining. Right when he walked in, he started complaining about prices or some shit. Do you have a better memory of when he actually came in?
I believe he was upset that our discounted books were not as cheap as discounted books at another store.
Yeah, but your reaction was what makes this story. It's your reaction that makes this story.
I believe I told him that why doesn't he just go to that other store then?
I was like,
And I didn't. I mean, I knew Omar at this point, but we weren't quite super.
Yeah.
This was a couple years ago. We weren't super close.
we weren't bromancing yet.
Yeah.
This was like last year.
And it was a little while.
No,
it was
like 2 years
at
ago, I
least
think.
2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably about 2.
Because all I heard, Omar was on the other side of these books, and all I hear is,
I was like, I could not let that
Not
fucking
helping
go.
the
And that
situation.
dude was like all pissed. But anyways, I was glad I did it because later on he fucking walked by with his fat ass fucking stomach and his fucking halter top shirt. I turned
you hear
around.
his
I turned
fat?
around. No, I turned around and his fucking stomach went against my face.
Oh, he did that
Like
on
throwing up.
purpose.
No, seriously. He totally did that on purpose. I was so fucking pissed. I was like, oh my! I needed to fucking
Look,
anti-back my face.
I think I know who that is, and I have a name from.
I think he has kids too, and they're fucking.
Okay, we stop there. We love our customers. We really do.
We love our customers.
Okay.
well, let's go to the next. Charlie, I think you actually technically were hired after Toby, right? Isn't Toby was
Technically,
first,
yes.
and so you
I've
were
been-
like,
I've
I
been
was hired?
around the shop.
Wait, I was
longer,
hired? When did I get hired? I remember handshake.
Yeah.
And that was not with you.
So I am having a hard time figuring out the worst day, but the best day is really fucking easy.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yes, I'm sure you know what I'm going to say.
Jeff
when
Johns
Jeff
coming.
Johns was here,
Oh, yeah.
Knew that
I
coming.
was
You were
on
on.
such a high.
You were on cloud 407.
Yes.
Hard on the whole time.
That was a good day.
Yeah, that was-
Which is, just so you know, is a
I
requirement when
keep
you're on
hoping
cloud
we'll have a
407.
So
I want to top that day. You have to bring him back.
we've had a. I mean, this has
With
been a-
Jim Lee.
We've had a
Yes.
couple signings at the store throughout the years. Not a ton. A lot of stores do some more events. I try to, if I want to do something, I want to have like a big event. We've had a few that fell through, and I'm kind of frustrated. The last year or two, I've had like 2 or 3 not big things, but big enough, kind of fall through. And I'm like, I've been getting frustrated just because you got to keep on these people. They're busy. They have work to do. I mean, I love to do some more signings. I love to have some more people out there. And we've talked to Jeff a few times about coming back. He wants to come back. It's just a scheduling thing, which is real hard. I've talked to some other people at DC. I've talked to some indie guys. Image is out of Berkeley, and they've talked about for Free Comic Day or for some other days. They want to try to get some people down here. So it's just a scheduling thing. There's some local guys. There's some smaller guys, but it's like we've had some small guys come in, and it's a little depressing sometimes when there's only like a couple of people here, or like people don't really know who they are. And it doesn't bother me. Like, that's cool. Like, you got to get your name out. But I mean, I'll admit it. We have a pretty strong Marvel and DC superhero crowd here. Like, we do a fair amount of indie stuff, but I keep trying to get some good names in the store. So hopefully we'll get some more of those. Is there any bad days? Can you think of anything?
I've always told you the day this feels like work to me, I'm going to stop doing
that's
it.
A bad day.
So far, it's all good.
You better be fucking working when I'm not here.
Oh shit,
Toby.
It doesn't matter if I'm working or not, as long as it doesn't feel like work.
You got any good days or bad days?
Plenty that I can't talk about on the podcast. And you know them all, too. You know them all. I mean...
Tell us one fucking interesting one that people along the interregs want to fucking hear. I will not tell
the story. I will just say what it was. It was the guy flipping out in here once.
Oh, shit.
About...
That happens like every week.
No, this guy flipped the hell out.
To the point of that I love every customer that spends money... He didn't. I don't know that he actually ended up spending any money that day. So why don't you tell the story?
You seriously want me to?
Go for it. It's a fun story.
Yeah, tell it.
Go before he changes his mind.
This is the variant. This is the variant cover thing, right?
Oh shit.
Is that what you were going for?
No, actually, that guy too.
Oh, which one is it then? I thought you're. Oh,
nah, I don't think I could tell that.
I thought you were going to tell us about the variant cover guy.
The variant guy. Let's do the variant cover.
Okay, that's my rage.
Okay, the variant cover
trust
guy.
Me, that rage guy is nothing, and you have nothing on that guy. Brock. I'm sorry.
What's so funny on the variant cover guy that the story that Toby's about to tell? So, in my purge, I brought that variant cover back.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
The variant cover guy. Yeah. So I was working, and this dude, I think he called first. Yeah, I don't even remember the whole story anymore that clearly. He called. He goes, "Hey, I got some books on hold, and I'll be there." And I'm like, "All right, I'll see you when I see you." Right? And so he comes in. He goes, "These are not the books." I'm like, "These are the books." And he goes, "No, you're a stinking liar." What? And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, he goes, "Well, I called on Tuesday," and I'm like, "Okay, on Tuesday that'd be Ryan, and nobody else, because at the time, Brock, you weren't here a lot yet." Yeah. It's only Ryan, because Ryan owns a store. He has to bring out the books. He's doing everything on Tuesday. The only guy possible that picks up the phone is Ryan. And he told you what he told you. These are the books. No, you're all liars. I was like, I didn't even know how to answer the guy. I'm like, I even called Ryan. I hadn't talked to him on the phone. When he hung up, he goes, "You're all liars. This is not how you do business. This is just wrong, and so on." And then he walked out really, really mad. But... yeah, that was a really interesting day.
What did he mean, these are not the books?
He goes, "These are not the books I wanted. I want the books I want."
So he wanted every Batman book and every variant of every Batman book. And when people sign up for stuff like this, I tell them, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of variant covers. The odds of me getting every variant, and I have lots of long-standing customers that want variants, the odds of that stuff coming in and me having copies for you is not going to be 100%. I'll get you what I can get you.
Sure.
If you want to pay me, cover price for every copy of a book for a variant. So if it's a 1 in 50, give me $150 and I'll get you the variant guaranteed.
Sure.
But other than that, it's like I can't always guarantee these books. And it was a Red Robin variant for issue number 1 when they relaunched the series. Guy. And I don't always collect variant covers, but I collect some of them. And this guy never called me, first of all, right? He did not call. And I was like, I didn't think about it. I was like, well, I'll get him the variants I can get him. And it was like, this was a cool cover. I really like this. I collect the series. I'm a big fan. I sometimes take the variants for myself. And we had a couple. I had one for a customer who gets a lot of books, and I took the other one for myself. And and this guy, like he said, he talked to me about it and everything like that. I never
He
talked.
flipped the heck out.
Yeah,
in the
he-
store.
he
He
lost it
called
on
me like
Toby.
effing liar. You guys are all wrong. That's
Yeah,
not
he
how
was
it is."
screaming over the phone.
Yeah,
and
yeah, he
everything.
was. He was screaming at you. He was screaming at me in the store. It was like, pretty.
He came back in
He's come in once,
like
Well,
a
he's
couple
come back in
times after
pretending he's a new
trying
customer.
to do the variant thing again.
Yeah.
No, but he's pretending to be a new guy. That's
Yeah.
the funny thing. Like, we don't remember who this guy was.
Yeah.
Does he wear like a mustache or something?
He just came back
a
in.
wig and
No, but the other one that's a funny one is when I was working here one Sunday. You know, I usually play a little different kind of music than Ryan does,
Oh, jeez.
and there was this crazy
all
lady here.
Linkin Park, right?
No, a lot of old school hip hop, but yeah, Linkin Park was on a while there. But this lady came in, and I was talking. I had one of my regulars in here, and I was talking to him. And it's not like, all my guys know when they're in here. When the customer's here, they walk away. Instantly I help the customer and so on. But no, this couple was just looking at books.
And you're not blasting the music.
no, I mean,
never.
It was just on,
Sure.
right?
Right.
She got very annoyed and told us to be quiet. I'm like,
Well, it wasn't just you two. It was also another one of our actual just regular customers. was here, too.
He just told us to be quiet. I'm like, all right. And I was like, I felt kind of weird about it. But, I want everybody to have a good time here. I told my guys, all right, guys, keep it down a little bit. And then she asked it again. I mean, when we were quiet, I was like, how quiet do you want us to be? I mean, like, don't make a sound. I mean, I turned down the music. It got to a point where I just turned it off. I told all my guys, don't even talk. And she still told us to be quiet. It was really, really bizarre. So, and I think she complained to the point where she called you the next day and say I was too loud.
Yeah, something weird. I don't remember the whole deal with that.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
bizarre.
besides,
how about a good day?
good day. Well, yeah. I don't know. There's also the bad day where Ryan had that store meeting. Got really mad at him. I was going to quit.
Oh, I heard about that
yeah,
story.
Yeah. There's a bunch of, and like I said, there's a bunch of them I can't even talk about on this podcast. But
Well,
good
how about
days.
this? What is your favorite thing you've ordered through the store that you were uber excited when it came in?
How about a surprise? That Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle hardback. It was a
Okay.
total surprise. I mean, never did I thought I was
The
gonna
new-
love-
the new
the
one?
new one. Yeah, well, based on the old one. Never thought that was so cool, and I was
Yeah.
uber happy about it. No, I mean, every day here is fun. I mean, when the customers are here chit-chatting, honestly, I mean, that's why I come to the store, is just to, talk shop. And
Yeah.
any day is really a fun day. So I don't really have a favorite. It's just like they're all great.
Yeah. I mean, for me, obviously, I'm here a lot. So there's some great days and there's some not so great days. I mean, obviously, any week where I'm staring down the face of a diamond bill and there's not enough money in that bank account to pay for everything, you're kind of like, ugh, it's rough. It happens, and it's a business, right? There's going to be slow weeks. There's going to be times where things are going, and then there's other weeks where it's just like you're cruising and everything's good and everything's paid, everyone's paid, everything's running 100%. So I mean, worst day, at least from just like a logistics and money and everything, was the day we got broken into. I mean, that really sucked.
That was a
Oh,
good
yeah.
one. That's my favorite day.
yeah.
That's
I
my
remember
favorite
this
day.
day.
Can I say that's my favorite day? That's totally my favorite day.
I remember
That was
this
like the
day.
best one ever.
Ryan, say you're fired.
Not for me.
Well, come on, that was pretty hilarious.
What the fuck happened, anyways?
You don't know? This
didn't hear this?
is great.
Okay.
Can I tell the story since that's my favorite day?
Make
Let
sure you
Ryan
tell
tell the
them
story.
why
Let-
you
yeah,
called
Ryan,
me.
Ryan
Right.
hasn't told his story.
All
So
right,
let him
let's
tell his
let
story.
Ryan tell his story.
I swear I've told this on the podcast
Really?
too, but
That was
Again.
I've never heard it.
maybe I
it's an
haven't.
Why
awesome
don't you,
story.
why
So
don't you give it? Why don't you flip
That's
it a
my
little bit?
that's my favorite day. Honestly,
You just
that's
have
my
to
favorite
tell
day.
them why you called me.
okay. Well, how did I call you?
Oh yeah, Broncos being dexterish.
Oh, I kind of remember. So I get we have an alarm system here and everything like that, and I get a call middle of the morning. Your alarm's going off. Do you want to call the cops? And I'm like, oh crap! Right? I'm like, all right, call the cops. So I get down here. Front window's totally bashed in. Right?
Fuck.
Just shattered everywhere.
What side?
This one. Well, on
the
the
register
right.
side. Register side. So I'm like, oh no, what'd they take? So we come in, talk with the cops and everything. Register's there, money's there, everything's there.
All the damn expensive books on the walls were there.
Everything was there.
All the statues.
Yeah.
What was missing was one box of magic cards that was sitting on the front counter. Not the 6 sealed boxes right behind it, but the one box
It was like half
that was
empty.
like half empty on the front of the thing, and there was a rock sitting in the middle of the store with like there was a figure we had a bunch of figures on the ground. It had like
was a
hit this
Sinestro.
box. Yeah, it's a Sinestro figure. It had like hit the box and like dented the hell out of this box and it fell over. Well, the cops found some blood on the floor
You gotta love
outside.
this.
So the guy, there was basically blood all on the inside. The guy gashed his arm all up when he broke in, because this is like old school plate glass window. Like this isn't like new all fancy,
Sure.
spider web window.
yeah.
This is like just shattered into a million pieces. And he gashed his arm open getting in here on this piece, right? Well, little drops of blood down the sidewalk, down the parking
complex,
lot,
yeah,
down
yeah.
the complex, down the sidewalk, into the apartment complex out behind us here, through the thing, up to the guy's front door. They followed little drops of blood to this guy's front door. Yeah, and it turns and they checked the hospital, and yep, this guy got in for a gashed arm or anything like that. They went in. There was like two guys, two girls, probably in their they were like 20 or 21 years old, drugs everywhere, all this stuff. This guy was out of his mind. Wandered by, saw magic cards, threw a rock through the window, gashed his arm up, went to the hospital, and got arrested. So there you go. Yeah,
That sucks.
it's a bad day. I mean, funny in hindsight now that everything's fine and paid
Freaking
off
awesome.
and everything.
Come on,
But-
I mean,
I get a
out of
phone
all
call.
the things they could take in the store for getting that injured to
Yeah.
take a box of magic cards. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I get a phone call. Brock, what? I need you to clean up blood. Huh?
Brock, come help me clean up blood.
So I asked my girlfriend for some chemicals.
Yeah.
And
That was fun
cleaned
times.
up blood for you.
It was fun times. But I mean, the best day was the day I bought the store. It was the scariest day.
Yeah.
Because that signing the paperwork and everything, and that's sort of like, oh, this is now official.
Yeah.
What have I done?
Yeah.
Can I actually do this?
Can I undo this? Is
We
there a
all
way to
believed in you,
rejigger
Ryan.
my way out
We
of
were
this?
all really, really happy that you bought the store now.
Well, I mean, so we're almost was it 5.5 years ago, and so here we are.
Because I'm almost on 5 years.
No, I'm biased, but unbiased. I mean, I go to like all the stores in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Easily here. If you haven't been to Comics Jersey, come through. It's a real shop.
Nice.
Ain't it? I like comic lounges. There's only one comic lounge in the Bay, though. It's James' shop.
Yeah.
Isotope.
So he's got one last question. Well, he's got another one here about technology, but we're running way late. So
My best day is also when I tricked Ryan to thinking I left the cat in here.
Jeez.
And he believed it for a couple of days.
It's fucked up. Man.
Actually, it's still here.
The last question is: what are Comic Conspiracy's hopes, dreams, and aspirations as a business looking forward from today? And I mean, the cheesy answer is staying in business. I mean, that's especially being a retail business. in
Especially
this
now,
day.
it's just not easy no more.
Yeah.
I mean, what if digital takes off and stuff like that?
Right,
It'd be nice to be around.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just having good customers, having good employees, just staying in business. Hoping the companies continue to support the physical medias, despite definitely a trend like everything in moderation. Contrary to popular belief, the music industry still sells a lot of CDs and would go out of business if they weren't selling physical media. A lot of CDs are still sold to this day. There's a lot of people that are just not technologically inclined. 50 years from now, maybe not so much. But at least for the next couple of decades, I don't see why this can't continue. And especially books and print, newspapers and magazines, because of the staleness of them, how they get bad really quick. I kind of get, but comics and novels, I don't see going away. So yeah, I mean, at this point, it's literally just staying in business, which is what everyone wants. So yeah, hopefully that answers everyone's questions. That's a fun episode. Charlie, since next week would be the day before Avengers vs. X-Men #1 comes out, and I know you want to talk a lot of Avengers vs. X-Men.
Yep.
Do you want to blow through X-Sanction right now, or do you want to do a much longer segment on it next week?
It's fresh in his mind right now. I think he wants to say some shit. Literally.
You're just taking the words out of his mouth. He
Yeah.
was like, you didn't even say
Okay,
it.
I'll have my little rant on this one.
Have your little rant. Maybe we could talk a little more about it next week. But this is the final part of our Charlie's X-Sanction
So,
review.
for those who have actually been following this, recap. Number 1 was okay. Second one got better. I would actually have classified the third one as good. This one is complete and utter crap. It's complete and utter crap on so many levels, and yet again, I was starting to wonder if I just didn't give Jeff Loeb enough credit.
Oh, it's a
And
Jeff
then it
Loeb
proves me
bug.
wrong. He proves me right again that anything he touches, I can't stand.
So
That's a big rant.
Are we out of Cable? Is Cable done? At this point, is he dead finally? I haven't
No,
read for
he's
yet.
not dead. And in fact, if you want to get technical, he should be more powerful than ever now. Because
Spoiler
he got
alert.
cured of the techno-organic virus at the end by the Phoenix, which
Okay.
you would think if the Phoenix could cure him, it would have cured him a long time ago. But
No, but Hope had to channel the Phoenix
sure.
for that to happen. Because that's what she's supposed to do, is channel the Phoenix. And then,
So-
spoiler alert, she's supposed to fight the Scarlet Witch. Oh, did I ruin that?
So, in any event, technically speaking, he should be closer to the Nate Gray character, X-Men now. And he should, short of Hope supposedly being a powerful mutant, he should pretty much be the second most powerful mutant on the planet, and I doubt they will go there.
Well, isn't it Colossus on the cover? With the fuzzy haircut?
I call it Silver Hulk. We got Red Hulk,
So-
Green Hulk,
and
Silver
No,
Hulk.
that's not
That's
Silver Hulk,
another
that's
thing
Chrome
that a
Hulk.
lot of people are put off by, is this cover doesn't really communicate. Like, they go to all this trouble of being like, we'll put Spider-Man in the black costume, and we'll put Wolverine in his X-Force costume.
Yeah.
That would have
And
been
then
cool.
you turn to the first actual page of content, and no, Wolverine's not in the X-Force costume. And they try to make Spider-Man and Wolverine seem edgy on the costume because
On the cover, I mean.
Yeah, I mean-
yeah.
the black costume is supposed to be sort of, for Spider-Man, is the generic I'm hardcore now Spider-Man.
sure. Back in black, yeah.
Yeah. And the X-Force Wolverine is supposed to be the all about getting business done, any means necessary. And they really didn't do much in this book. And there was all sorts of there was a comment on how Wolverine doesn't know how much history they have, to which I'm like, okay, so are they either pulling the Winter Soldier again, where the Winter Soldier did something and Wolverine didn't know about it? Because at this point, Wolverine knows his past.
Right.
But it just, the way the panels were laid out, the way the story unfolded, it just, all those complaints people had at the beginning that I kind of went, I'm hoping it's not this way. I'm hoping they don't brush it across the side why did Cable go about this? I was hoping they'd actually explain it in such a way that I could be like, okay, see, that's why, no. Evidently, he's just a piss poor tactician because he can't plan worth shit.
Well, and also, you were talking about the Uncanny X-Force and the Dark Spider-Man here. And I guess Cable got a hold of some hair dye for men. Because inside it's white, but on the cover it's black.
Yeah.
Oh, what the heck?
So,
Yeah,
I don't know if he used the brush-in kind.
coloring
or-
error.
So the question I have is, what does that have to do with Avengers vs. X-Men? Nothing?
Nothing other than being able to go, hey, look, see, Hope is the Phoenix that we already, or
Yeah.
channels the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
again, doesn't make sense to me because everything I had seen building up to Avengers vs. X-Men seemed to suggest the Phoenix was heading towards Earth.
Right.
As in, it was looking to come get a new
Yeah,
host.
here it's already here.
That makes no sense if it's already in her.
One other angle too, and maybe you can shed some light on it. Maybe I'm just being stupid. And the whole thing about Captain, we're going to keep this ship and we're going to keep all the military, all the tech on it or something. Wasn't there something about it that villainized the Avengers as to them being the reasons why the mutants were all killed off or something like that? Foreshadowing that in the beginning
It
of the
creates
stories?
a massive paradox.
Okay.
Because Avengers can't get the tech from where the Avengers had the tech in the future to capture mutants. Because at this point, from the way it's laid out, Cable brought all the tech back from the future Avengers mansion.
Yes.
So he brought the tech back to use to help capture the Avengers so he could wire explosives to not... It's like, okay, Cable's a soldier. If he's going to kill these people, there was no point keeping them alive as long as he did.
Is Bishop dead?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
killed him back in Messiah Complex.
Oh, because, it would have been cool if he popped in and shot everybody and said, you're all morons.
But
I like District X while we're at it.
I mean, there's huge plot issues that I really started to think Loeb acknowledged in issue 3 with the way he kind of started to explain some of the stuff and the way it was all starting to sort of come together. Sort of like all those little points I brought up about like Cable's arm, how do you travel back in time if he didn't have that? They actually explained. So I was like, okay, he's not. And then just.
Now imagine
Cable-
Ryan. What if you had Ryan hold? I mean, what if you had Charlie hold this back all the way into next week? He would have blown up the store. With all this anger.
Just gonna let it go.
But I mean,
Charlie would have been channeling
Cable
the Phoenix.
has always been a over-the-top soldier, strategist. Like, he doesn't go to war with somebody and pull his punches. He always brought out the big fucking gun, had his telekinesis. He
Had a plan.
he had a plan, and
Well,
this one seemed to be...
That's what we got from the last Cable series. Was we really got a good picture of Cable and who Cable was, and he was always on the go protecting Hulk or Hope. Sorry, and he was always thinking, always
contingency plans. He
even when they were stagnant, even though there was a time where they stopped and they lived life a little bit. He still had guns hidden everywhere, and he was still ready and he was still prepared. This just feels like a Cable that's just shot out of nowhere, desperate for clasping it.
Didn't Loeb came from writing Hulk?
Yeah.
Don't you remember how that book was?
Oh, yeah.
You think he's going to have a Cable that plants? When he came from a book where he wrote, Hulk angry now. Hulk must fight. Hulk must this. He's going to have a tactician Cable? Sorry.
let alone the whole... And everybody knows I have issues with the Red Hulk. The whole burning off the techno-organic virus that easy was...
Oh, is that what happened to it?
I could
Yeah,
go. I could
he-
go gamma.
He basically said, well, I get hotter when I rage,
Yeah.
so I can burn off the virus.
And this is the other funny thing is his Hope apparently just absorbs other people's powers.
Yeah.
So why didn't she just invite Firestar in and they she absorbs the virus and then Firestars herself? Instead of doing the whole Phoenix thing.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing is reading this and going into Avengers versus X-Men and seeing all those little teaser things over and over again. It's like, okay, we already know that she has it.
But that's the thing. The way I've read some of the teasers that have come out and everything else suggested she had a connection to the Phoenix. She was definitely like
She's
Jean
a
Grey.
ginger. There's a connection right there, right?
Ginger.
Jean Grey
baby.
was always a powerful mutant, with or without the Phoenix. The Phoenix came and basically, like a parasite. I don't want to say took possession because even though there was a time when it was took possession, but basically bonded with her and upped her power level.
Alien
to,
symbiote suit without the suit.
Yeah, upped her power level to just phenomenal heights, and that seems to be where they're going with this, where the Phoenix has detected Hope and has found its new host. And
Well, it's the Phoenix entity needs a strong enough host, body, whatever you want to call it, to basically survive, to just lay dormant or rest or relax or completely and utterly annihilate everything and be reborn.
What if
So-
Cable is the new Phoenix in Avengers vs. X-Men?
Huh.
That wouldn't bother me so much now that he is healed. It would actually make somewhat sense, especially with his heritage and everything. See, that I would actually be excited if they went that way. But again, it's just I like consistency in writing. I can acknowledge when they're. It's sort of like the whole continuity thing. I don't really mind if you go outside of continuity to a degree, but I don't like when you go outside continuity on something that's supposed to be building up towards the event. It's almost like it cheapens the event if the event itself can't keep things straight.
Speaking of events, you're going to be back for some Avengers vs. X-Men, right?
Yes, and I'm
It's going to be ranting like this.
I'm hoping
Yes.
my rants are a little more positive going into that one.
So you felt
we're all
cheated. You
hopeful.
felt like this issue was like, someone was like,
Honestly-
someone's giving you head, and they just like suck they suck your tongue, and then just like didn't do anything else.
You're trying to do the Chris Rock analogy, right?
They're like, kiss it, kiss it,
Enough
kiss
head
it.
to shut you up. Are you okay up there?
I'm more weirded out that Charlie's totally laughing at that.
Charlie has a good sense of humor.
Yeah, he does.
We'll leave it at that and continue this in 2 weeks.
Can't leave it at a blowjob.
Well, actually,
Why not?
well, actually,
You're just doing what we just did to Charlie.
Well, next week we'll have Avengers vs. X-Men 0. Are you in
Yep.
for that, or are you just in
No,
for
I'm here
1?
for 0.
Okay. Well, then we'll have some Avengers vs. X-Men talk for the next 6 months.
All right.
Every
I'm
other
sure-
week for
I'm
6
sure
months.
I'll be here talking about other stuff as well.
Every other week for 6 months. Good Lord. Marvel, what are you doing? All right, we got to wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this podcast, as well as the other 49 episodes, 49 and a half, if you count that.
Thank you for being with us for a year.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
And hopefully you get another year, at least
a lot of money.
another year or 100 out of this podcast. If you-
100.
100 years?
Yeah, we're going to be like
Wow.
Brock Civil War vet that's going to live on and on and on.
Yeah,
High five on that one, buddy.
they might have the technology.
Yeah.
Burn.
We're going to be a bunch of heads that just talking to a microphone.
Now, that'd be awesome.
Hopefully it's good head.
Like
What is
Futurama.
with you guys in head tonight? Jeez, you
started the fucking
you bring
episode with
one
a Playboy.
to a podcast, and everyone wants heads.
Head. Yeah.
That's how you end it.
No, you know what? You know what started it? Was Darkhawk's crotch started. That's what started this all.
Well, if you guys want to listen to the 49 episodes, as well as all the episodes of The Geek Box, The Comedy Button, and Good Job Brain, which is our new trivia podcast hosted by Karen Chu, go to www.geekbox.net. Just go to forums.geekbox.net, where you can talk to us in the comic forum. And we actually had a bunch of people posting in the comic forum recently, which is cool. There's good guys in there. Some good conversations. Go post what you've read this week or whatever. You can visit us on Facebook. It's at just the Geek Box on Facebook as well. We're all on Twitter. Ryan Higgins, Ryan, Barack Sager, Insanity in Chaos, Toby XI, and Comics and Dakine down there for Omar. What else we got? You can send us email at thecomicconspiracy@geekbox.net, or you can go to the contact forum, which is on geekbox.net. Conspiratorbrock.com, Brock's blog. Go yell at him for his Marvel hate.
And Marvel hate.
Worst website ever.
Yeah.
And you know what? They keep coming to it. It's like a train wreck or a car crash. You just can't look away.
What
Well,
else?
they have to come argue.
I know.
Go on iTunes. Go give us a review on iTunes, and we'll read your review and your name on the podcast. If you kind of give you a little shout out, that'd be fun. Actually, there was one on there, but I forgot to load it up. Well, I did it last week, so we'll do all of them next week. So hopefully there'll be a couple. And also on the front page of geekbox.net, there's a bunch of little buttons on there that link out to various social networks.
Share us on Reddit.
Yeah, go hit those buttons, because they actually do get people to hit up the podcast and give us hits and check out the podcast and download, and it's super cool. So do that.
So I
Charlie.
also want to just say,
Oh, and Charlie's
Yes.
other podcast, sorry,
Yes,
which
my
I
other podcast.
yes, which what are you up to now? We're up to 20 something.
You're already at
Yeah.
20 something?
Infinite-
I
Damn.
think
Oh, time
we,
flew.
I think
Infinite
we
Long
just
Box?
recorded episode 20
Okay.
on Thursday.
Yeah, I think
so
it's
yeah.
coming soon.
Okay.
You're
That's
almost
not
legal drinking age,
Yeah,
man.
I know.
in weeks.
The Infinite Long Box. You can find that on iTunes, or is it infinitelongbox.libsyn.net? Is that what it is?
It's,
I think-
it's infinitelongbox.libsyn. Is it .net?
Is it .net or .com?
I don't know.
Type
Jeff
in
always
either
says
one.
every
Figure it
week.
out.
Libsyn.net is
Yeah.
.com.
One takes you to a porn site. One takes you to.
The infinite.
The infinite
long
long
something
box.
else.
Lips on.
Yeah.
Infinite.
Hey, real fast, I want to give a big props to the guys that work on Legend of Korra. For those that are interested,
We'll talk about this next week.
Yeah, but the preview is up. I don't know how long it's going to be up. So if you go to Korra Nation, the first 2 episodes are on. So excellent stuff. I'll talk it more in depth when it actually comes out. But
Cool. Oh, we need to talk about Hunger Games. Brock, we'll have you talk about that next
Yeah,
week, too.
and skip Hunger Games and go watch The Raid.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
Mike
agree with that.
Shinoda, my man.
And there was something else too. Oh, yeah. Speaking of Avengers vs. X-Men, if you live in the Bay Area, we were doing an Avengers vs. X-Men release party.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, April 3rd. So
Yeah.
that'll actually be a week
Come
after.
wish the podcast happy birthday that night.
Yes, that'd be fun. We decided today that we were actually going to give away totally free Avengers vs. X-Men #1 at the event. With a purchase.
With purchase.
With any other purchase in the
Yeah.
store. So from 6 o'clock
There are
on.
some very cheap buttons.
Yes, from don't oh, Charles. We have
I think
nice.
it has to be a comic book at least.
We have nice $100 omnibus hardcovers, and then you can get your free comic when you buy that. No, we're actually going to be having a sale from 6 o'clock till we're done. 25% off all X-Men and Avengers books, and really, like, Cap, Thor, Iron Man, all the new Warriors. Well, some of them were in the Avengers, so that counts. I mean, everyone's been an X-Men or an Avenger at some point, so this might as well be
Maybe
25% off all Marvel. But
maybe it's a game, and you have to say what is in conjunction with the Avengers.
Sure.
You have to tell us.
If it's like-
there's a new warrior in
give
here.
us
He's an
6
Avenger. I can buy one.
It's 6 degrees of
Avengers #1.
separation. So it's 6 degrees of separation from the Avengers, or 6 degrees of separation from
Right.
the X-Men.
And even if you buy something at 25% off, you still get that free copy of Avengers vs. X-Men #1. On
That's
that
one hell of a
Tuesday,
deal.
it's on sale at 8 p.m., so you have to be here at least till 8 p.m. to get your free copy. And it's free with any purchase, or $3.99. You can even buy one of the variant covers and get a free copy of the regular cover. What a deal.
And you can wish Ryan happy birthday and have some free booze.
You could do that. We'll hopefully have some nice cupcakes here from one of Toby's
Hell
buddies.
yeah.
We'll have some free food, probably some pizza from next door, some booze, party, music, comics, X-Men.
Are we going to have
Marvel.
actual music
It's
and not
gonna be-
reggae?
It's going to be.
Hey, reggae is awesome.
We're going to have a bunch. Marvel's giving away a bunch of buttons, a bunch of posters, so it's going to be a party. Come
Well, our
down.
cupcakes
If
might
they're
be
given
special.
away,
We don't know
they do
yet,
not
but they
count
might be
as a
special
purchase.
too.
Yes, the free button does not count as a purchase because you're not giving me cash money for that.
Yeah.
So.
Cash money?
All right, we're going to wrap this up. This is an hour and a half long episode.
Oh my
Long.
God, an hour and a half.
Yeah, special.
That's
Well,
our
it
birthday
is a
episode,
birthday.
man.
Yeah, it's okay. It's
Where
all
Ryan
right.
didn't allow us to drink. We have to wait till the 21st.
You guys fall. You
At
guys.
the party.
You guys polish off that six
If
pack.
anybody wants to
Wait.
come see these guys drunk, come to the party.
I might do some video for it, maybe.
Nice. That'd be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
That'd
yeah.
be cool.
I just want to be able to post a Ryan Higgins behind a drinking. You know?
Ah, jeez.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
Maybe at the next DC online party.
Maybe.
Just
Yeah, yeah.
You should. Oh, but don't even give me ideas. I'm here Mondays. and
Yo,
Tuesdays.
Chimley, I love you. I want to suck your.
Hell, if Tom called while he was high, I'd love to hear that conversation.
It's all pre-recorded, so it doesn't matter. All right, we'll talk to everyone next week. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you year 2 of the Comic Conspiracy. It's like now we have a gun and we shoot people, so it's pretty badass.
Don't say year 2.
And Todd McFarlane
Don't
draws
say year 2
a few
because
of our.
year 2 sucked.
Tom McFarlane draws a couple issues of us, so there we go.
Yeah.
All right, see you guys next week.
Burrito.